Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl Butler, and you're listening to the Mighty Mommy's Quick and Dirty Tips podcast, which will help make your life as a parent a little bit easier and a lot more fun. Welcome! Today's episode is number 506, 4 Mindful Ways to Discipline Your Child, because parenting in the moment can even benefit your child's behavior. My recent podcast episode, 5 Simple Mindfulness Habits for Better Parenting, caused quite a stir. Dozens of parents reached out with thoughtful comments and questions about this hot topic. After 25 years of parenting, it even gave me cause to stop and ponder about how life-changing this mindset can truly be in every area of one's parenting life, but particularly when it comes to the way we discipline our children. As stated in that episode, I equated mindful parenting to going back to basics with everything you do for your family. Remove all the bells and whistles of today's nonstop lifestyle and just enjoy whatever you and your children are doing at that very moment. As simplistic as that sounds, we all know that our crazy, overscheduled lifestyles don't necessarily make living in the moment very easy. That's why the term mindful is key to changing how we rush through life, going from trying to keep our heads above water to instead learning to float on top of the wave and enjoy the ride. I've been living a mindful lifestyle with my family for many years now, even before it became the popular mentality that is trending today. In fact, I'd say that it's been one of the key items in my parenting toolbox. Examples of mindful parenting to me are waking up and celebrating my teen daughter's great hair day with her, rather than being preoccupied with my overflowing inbox of emails. Not running around the house chasing all the fluffy dust bunnies left by our adorable golden retriever puppy, but instead observing how loved she is by all my kids. Even listening in appreciation to the quiet whir of our dryer while waiting for a load of towels to dry. We were without one for nearly a month this past summer. I'll never take this appliance for granted again. Rather than griping to my family that the majority of my precious life is spent washing their clothes. Get the picture? By shifting your conscious thoughts to what is happening in the present, rather than zoning out about your daily to-do list or being swept up in events that might be happening weeks away, you'll start to appreciate life much differently. When practiced routinely, living a mindful lifestyle can help us focus on the many positives that surround our family on a daily basis. And as we'll discuss today, it's also beneficial when things aren't going so well, and you do need to course correct your child's negative behaviors. The next time your kids are misbehaving and giving you a hard time, try putting a mindful spin on the situation. Mighty Mommy shares 4 ways to get mindful with your discipline. 4 mindful ways to discipline. 1. Bond when things are good. 2. Create a waterfall. 3. Tune in. And 4. Allow for consistency. Here's a closer look at each. 1. Bond when things are good. As just stated, when you begin to practice a mindful way of life with your kids, you'll learn to appreciate the everyday simple things that are the core foundation of your child's happiness. Whether that's relishing those late afternoon moments when your son finishes his homework and gets to lounge on the couch playing his favorite video game, or taking your daughter to the mall to try on 100 bathing suits to wear to the beach this summer. You're showing your child that you value him or her and their interests despite how busy your family life really is. As a parent, try to think back on your own childhood and recall how simple it was to hang out in your backyard with friends or ride your bike around the neighborhood without a care in the world. Remembering when life was nice and easy can help you in your approach to dealing with your child during periods of struggle. Today's kids have a lot on their plate. Most are juggling school, sports, club activities, part-time jobs, and many do live in single-parent homes. Add in peer pressure and the 24/7 world of social media, it's no wonder that many are defiant and have behavioral problems. So when we find as many moments as possible throughout the week to focus on their interests and appreciate all the positives that take place, we build a strong bond that allows them to trust us and rely on us when things aren't going well. Spend time bonding with your child when their world is good, so that when you do need to discipline for negative behavior, they'll be more receptive to your authority. Ultimately, our kids want to please us even when they know they're doing something wrong. Tip number 2, create a waterfall. When things aren't going well in my world, one of my favorite coping mechanisms is to visualize a more peaceful, relaxing scenario. As someone who loves to spend time on the beautiful beach on a hot summer's day, I can usually transport myself to the sunny seashore where I'm sitting with a good read and my own thoughts without any stress at all. A key factor in living a mindful life is taking the time to be present with your immediate circumstances. So when a child is acting out or behaving unacceptably, I know it's so easy to lose your cool and react negatively, especially if you're tired from a long day at work or have been cooped up with your kids all day long without a break. With a mindful approach, however, you can get yourself into a calm place before you react. One of my visualizing techniques is to create an imaginary waterfall. I picture the water rapids pouring fast and furious into a deep pool, and as the water rushes downward, I imagine my child's rotten behavior being flushed away and into that waterfall. This does take some practice, but by spending even a few seconds visualizing the defiant actions being swept away with the pounding water, it gives me just enough time to take a few deep breaths and regroup before I address the problem. And if that doesn't work, I head to a hot bubble bath and I soak into it until I'm ready to deal with the problem. I think my favorite tip in this episode is the next one. Number 3, tune in. As busy parents, most of us can relate to having one of those days where we return home from an exhausting day at work with cranky kids, hungry pets, nothing easy to prepare for dinner, unless you have Jewel, and a phone call from our spouse saying there's a work emergency and not to expect him home until well after the kids are in bed. Ugh, it's going to be a long night. Even though you're beat at the end of a very long day, don't forget your child might have endured a similar day herself. Kids are running full throttle themselves during the school week, and in many instances don't have any downtime due to the rigid schedules our families keep. When we learn to be mindful of even our hectic parenting moments, it affords us the opportunity to tune into our child and adjust our discipline strategies. For example, one of my sons is extremely sensitive to noise and anything that's too fast-paced. When I become super busy trying to rush slow kids along and get a little too loud and excited with my instructions, he just shuts down and tunes me out. I used to think he was ignoring me on purpose. But the truth of the matter was he just couldn't process all the commotion, so he'd withdraw and not pay attention to what I was asking of him. When we slow down and we take the time to see what makes our child tick, we can better understand what his needs are, which will ultimately help him comply because now we're on the same page. And tip number 4, allow for consistency. I've always been a firm believer that consistency is key with parenting. Whether you're implementing change, enforcing new rules, or holding down the fort with existing house guidelines, if you waver and don't hold your ground, your children will take it and run, right away from whatever you're trying to instill. It's only natural that they will manipulate and take advantage of any opportunity that strays you off course. In the Psychology Today article, Do Engaged Parents Produce Better Kids?, there's a discussion of 3 types of parenting styles and how those styles relate to a child's aggressiveness and acting out in school. The comparisons of parenting styles were interesting, but the common denominator in raising happy, confident kids was to practice consistency at all times. Consistency cultivates security, and security breeds better adults eventually. That's where mindfulness can be such a positive lifestyle tool when it comes to disciplining your kids. Being mindful allows us to quiet ourselves and get centered so we don't necessarily go off the deep end when our kids push the limits. Or so we hope. If you get into the practice of taking the time to live in the moment with your kids, you'll be better equipped to stay committed to the disciplinary rules and guidelines you've established in your home, because you'll maintain your cool and consistency on a regular basis. Have you embraced any mindfulness practices that enhance your parenting experience? Share your thoughts in the comments section at quickanddirtytips.com/mighty-mommy, or post your ideas on the Mighty Mommy Facebook page. If you have friends and family that would enjoy listening, I'd love it if you'd share the link to this podcast and refer them to the website, which is www.quickanddirtytips.com/mighty-mommy. Here, you'll find hundreds of archived episodes covering a wide variety of parenting and family-related topics. Wishing you and your family a terrific week of simplicity and enjoying one another. As always, thanks for listening, and until next time, happy parenting.